the big thing that pissed a lot of people off was the use of a 10-year-old game as like the showcase of what the new console could do. Why are you using The Last of Us to show off your new PlayStation 5 Pro?
It's one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, cool. Show us something from this decade. Show us something from this year.
There is some little things that kind of I have my gripes with, which I always do. Overall, I would say it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. It was nice to be back with the dwarves and the elves and everything going on with the rings.
Question 1 of the PlayStation General Knowledge Cutscene Quiz. PS2 is the highest selling console of all time, but what year did it come out? What year did the PS2 come out?
I've enjoyed the first two Venom films. I think overall I will enjoy this film. I wouldn't be 100% shocked if we don't get Null in the film properly, and then they try and do a Sony-verse team-up film where they try and defend the world from Null. Hello and welcome back to Cutscene Convo. This is episode 131. I'm here with Horizontal. We have got many things to discuss this week. We have got a character profile on Lady Deadpool. We've got Rings of Power episode 5. We've got a preview for Agatha All Along. Josh is back with gaming news, and as always, we've got Nerd News Network. But for that, Horizontal Hash Weekman.
You want to take a breath there?
You know what it is? I think the
Did you just chug a monster or something?
No, I've not even opened it yet. The pain-killing effects from this headache I've got, I think, finally kicked in and given me a second wind. So I'm just fucking living now. I just had a peep before we started recording. I'm like, you know, it'd be really funny if I don't even know if it's possible, if we got a cameo of Sam Reich doing like this is an episode of Game Changer style intro for us and just running that at the beginning instead.
Just do that and then it cuts. How has my week been? My week's been good. I'm trying to think what's happened since last Thursday.
7 days.
Yeah. Spent like Friday and the weekend helping my dad. Had jobs on the outside of the house and they're doing one which was people know on houses they have like the wooden boards that go up along the roof edge.
Yeah.
The eaves or whatever you want to call it, the different names for them. They needed repainting, so I had to go 2 stories up on a ladder.
Oh, okay.
And painting
Fun.
those. Yeah. Thankfully I'm not afraid of heights, so I was like, yeah, sure.
Well, I know who's qualified and the only one to do anything high up, because I am petrified of heights.
Oh, my dad was just like, are you going to be all right up there? Yeah, fine. Went up, came down, I was like, yeah, that was quite easy, actually. Thankfully, it wasn't a windy day. And then...
Imagine me having to come on this podcast because you've fallen off a ladder and fucking died. I'm like, this would be the last episode of Cutscene Combo, and it's just an hour and 50 minutes of me sobbing.
Jeez. Well, on a cheerier note...
He didn't.
No, I didn't. Also, this weekend, my sister had her baby, so I have a new niece.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Mum and baby all healthy, all good?
Yeah, all good. Got to see... Went yesterday... Literally drove down to Milton Keynes back in the day with my dad to go see them.
Milton Keynes, what a dump.
But yeah, both healthy. Baby's super chill, wants to sleep all the time, which is then meaning it's not feeding, but it'll be fine. Very cute.
Awesome.
But yeah, other than that, kind of been a chill week, and then my rest of my time has been playing Space Marines, which we'll get into later in the gaming news with Josh. But that's kind of taken over my world in my free time. And then gym. Although I avoided the gym at the weekend because Preston, where I'm from, had Radio 2's big weekend or whatever. Which is not as big as Radio 1's big weekend. But I was like...
It's the second biggest radio weekend.
Yeah. my gym was like 5 minutes from where they were doing it. So I was like, I'm not going anywhere near that during this time. But yeah, that's been my week. Being a Space Marine and then visiting
for the Emperor.
Yeah, for the Emperor. How's your week been?
Chaotic. I
Chaos,
don't even know what's happened. Stuff and things.
Work.
Yeah, I've been working. I've been trying to exist. Why has this week felt so weird? Did I have a day off this week? Don't think
I
so.
don't know. I think it's just because everyone's kind of been disappeared playing their own games.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna have to go back and look in the logs here. What the fuck have I been doing this week?
You've been like bouncing around different games for what I know of.
Yeah,
Seen your activity.
Monday I didn't do much. What the fuck have I been doing? I don't know. I played some Harry Potter Quidditch. It was class. I'm moving up to 2 videos a week on my channel for the foreseeable. So
Exciting.
I got both them edited yesterday, which is why I didn't stream yesterday. Which has thrown my week off even more. It doesn't feel like Thursday. All day today I've been thinking, oh, it's just Wednesday.
Yeah, this week's felt.
Which explains why it feels like I don't know what the fuck's gone on. American football's back. That was fun. And I'm off for 2 days next week because on Sunday I'm going up to see our friend Luke, and we're going to go watch cricket together. So driving all the way up to the shittier part of the country.
If you kept going, it gets better again.
Yeah, you've got to get through it and out the other side.
It's the Midlands. No one likes the Midlands.
So yeah, I'm driving up to Stoke to see him, and then we're going to Old Trafford for the cricket. Come back down on Monday, off Monday, Tuesday. It's going to be great.
Nice.
Can't wait. But let's get into it.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, character profile this week is on Lady Deadpool. We've been cracking on catching up with everyone from the
Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine film. So Lady Deadpool is next on the list. Wanda Wilson, or Lady Deadpool, first appeared in Deadpool Merc with a Mouth number 7, January 2010. Hailing from Earth 3010, where she was a member of a rebel group fighting against the United States Loyalists. According to Wanda, on her Earth, fascists in the federal government tried to impose their will on citizens, which caused rifts within Congress and the military, resulting in states becoming independent, which led to numerous isolated states and USA loyalists hell-bent on reforming the country under their rule. The leader of these loyalists was General America, a variant of Stephen Rogers, who was promoted to general of an incredibly repressive and controlling government. Lady Deadpool was later recruited by the Deadpool Corps. During her time on the team, she travelled to Earth 2110 to help the native Deadpool of that Earth deal with a resurrected and zombified, mind-controlled Avengers team, including Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, and more, as they had all died and as a planet of sentient rays had attacked that Earth and had resurrected their bodies and was mind controlling them in a zombified fashion. Standard Deadpool shenanigans. Later, she was also a key player in fighting the evil Deadpool Corps, commanded by Dreadpool, a variant who had been driven to homicidal rage by the so-called super sanity of him and everyone else being a comic book character, and the only way to end all of the bad in their worlds was to kill everyone, because they were just comic book characters, so it wasn't real, so why should they have to suffer through it? When she ended up being faced with Galactopol, who is a variant of Galactus and Deadpool, who was preparing to wipe out Ladypool and the Resistance, she flew the B. Arthur, her ship, named after, of course, B. Arthur from the Golden Girls, into Galactopol, killing them both and giving the Resistance time to escape. The most sane Deadpool, I feel.
I mean, them personally, yes, but then they seem to get recruited to help with the most insane stories.
Yeah, absolute hijinks.
So there's always got to be balance. A more sane Deadpool gets more insane stories, but a more insane Deadpool gets more sane stories.
Yeah. So really, really cool to see her on the big screen. A lot of people are waiting for me to say inspired by Blake Lively. If we believe the creator, if we believe the creator, Lady Deadpool was inspired by Blake Lively. However, I do not. Rob Liefeld has a habit of lying about shit.
No.
And more importantly, he has lie in his name. Think about it.
Get your
Dude can't even draw feet, and you expect me to believe he could be inspired by a real person to make a character? Come on.
I heard that it's really inspired by Taylor Swift.
Nah, that's Dazzler. Yeah, Lady Deadpool's a really cool. Sorry, not Lady Deadpool. Lady Deadpool's a really cool character. And it's nice to see a variant who's like almost kind of a throwaway joke variant have so much kind of going on in their own universe. It's not often you get that. So
Yeah,
there's that. Right.
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. Once again, it felt like the episode's stepping up.
This definitely, like, obviously, for those that watched our episode last week, knew that I had some. Episode 4 wasn't. Yeah, episode 4 was a bit of a dip for me. I do feel like this episode was a bit of a
reprieve.
Yeah, reprieve would be the right word. There is some little things that kind of I have my gripes with, which I always do. But I do give them a lot of leeway, stepping away from the books. I understand that they are writing a new version of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I would say it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. It was nice to be back with the dwarves and the elves and everything going on with the rings. Also, we got a lot more of the Numenorian stuff got escalated.
Okay. So what were some of the bits that you found a little bit not quite right for your liking?
So, one which I'm like, it's on the edge of being an issue because I don't know what it is yet. And it's in regards to like when Disa discovers there's something evil below the mountain.
It's the Balrog.
I'm hoping it logically, and the most obvious thing is it's them hinting at the Balrog.
Do you think they've hidden another monster between the Balrog and the dwarves?
There is
that would be a brilliant bait and twist.
Well, there is another monster in Khazad-dûm that we know of. The tentacle creature that guards the doors of Durin in the lake. That originally was in a deep lake under the mountain. I think it'd be cool if that is what is awakening.
Well, because got the doors of Durin.
Yeah, but because more so because I don't want it to be the Balrog, because the Balrog's meant to still be asleep.
But I think you're right. It could be this tentacle monster.
It could be, and I think
that's
that would
why
be
we
cool.
also got the doors reveal, and they're gonna like put them together to build their security system.
Well, they don't purposefully let the thing out to the door, but I think that would be a cool way to look at it. I don't think Amazon is not smart, considering they already teased the Balrog at the end of season 1. I do think this is them, and the whole talk of we've got to dig deeper, which is what awakens the Balrog in the books. I'm like, I'm okay with the Balrog, and I know that they're going to obviously lead up to that, and it makes sense. But I said at the end of season 1, can they just chill? There's things that I'm okay with them like squishing together timeline wise. The Balrog's like way down the line. You're bringing it a bit too soon.
But when in relation to the dwarves getting the rings is the Balrog?
Well, if you think to like Lord of the Rings, when they get to the Mines of Moria, Gimli's surprised that it's all derelict and gone wrong. So I don't know the exact timelines of when it's meant to like the downfall of Khazad-dûm, but it's obviously still way in the future.
Got ya.
So it's like
the fall of Khazad-dûm based on that should be like closer to
Lord of the Rings
like the acknowledgement of the hobbits fucking existing and not being Harfoots. Okay, got ya.
So I'm like, I get that they're trying to tie in the dwarves are going to start digging deeper. Obviously, everyone knows the Balrog's going to come eventually. I just worry that they're like leaning on that too much. Like, we know it's there. You've teased that it's there. I think it's a better story thing to just kind of let it be rather than constantly. It's almost like they're being like, don't forget there's a scary creature under the mountain. But we all know there's a scary creature under the mountain. You don't need to remind us.
It's like they've already storyboarded the key art for the downfall, and they're like, it looks so cool. I just want to press the button.
Yeah. Another small gripe, which is like, again, these are things that like, I can see what they're maybe doing, and it depends how they go forward with it, is this whole, how they've done the rings this episode with the dwarves. I said last week that the rings for the dwarves and the rings for men were handed out by Anatar. And I was hoping that was still kind of going to be the case, and he was going to invite all the dwarves. They've given it to Durin, and I get why. I get the way this story is going because they have provided the mithril. But what I'm kind of not so sure on is this idea that Durin's using them to kind of force these other dwarves to give him money. That's not kind of how it's meant to be. Also, there's some theories as to how this could correct itself, but the dwarven rings aren't meant to make them crazy and like start to go a bit cuckoo.
The whole point of the power rings supposed to be that at the minute they're just supposed to be crazy powerful so that everyone loves them. And then they only become a problem once Sauron has the One Ring.
Correct. Also, the dwarves are known. They're said to be they were resistant to the corruption of Sauron. So like
also,
they didn't.
Maybe just Durin's a dick.
So I think it's two things. It's Amazon's trying to play on what obviously fans know from how the One Ring was in Lord of the Rings. The whispers, the kind of panicking about the ring being lost. That was very Bilbo. And I think they're leaning on that, which I get why you would do that. One theory someone put, which I think could be a way to kind of correct this, because there's issues this creates down the line, right? The Dwarven rings got passed down several generations. Like they stayed with the dwarves for a very long time. Till Sauron eventually took them back. If you're watching your dad get corrupt by a ring, and you can see from the, like Durin is seeing that it's the ring causing it, you're not going to take that ring and wear it and then pass it on to your kid,
unless something happens that convinces him the ring wasn't the problem.
Exactly. So the one theory I've seen, which I kind of am okay backing, is the idea that once all the dwarves have the rings, it sort of balances it out, because right now he's the only one wearing one, which is why it's maybe affecting him a bit more.
Intensified.
Which I can get behind. And if it's like they all get them and then suddenly he's kind of a bit more back to himself, that would quell any concern Prince Durin has. Also, the door. I was really excited for the opportunity of getting to see the door being made.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they cut some of it, because it's like, we got shown the door, the dwarves were there at Eregion, and they were celebrating this coming together, though they didn't mix, which I thought was funny. Which is 100% because they didn't want to have to deal with the VFX of mixed height people. You could very clearly
all real height people, but trying to make them.
If
different.
you notice, even like
it's almost a seam.
Well, yeah, and then you've got the elves. You had I forget what the dwarf was called that helped make it. Then you had Celebrimbor. Then you had the collection of dwarves, and there was always a gap. And you're like, okay, you've just made it easy for yourself to like make the dwarves smaller. I get it. It's a TV. Like you've got to be smart with it. But I would have liked to have seen more in that creation process, because I was like, I said last week, we're going to have a cool opportunity. The doors of Durin are going to be made. They've nailed the look of them. Other than this is where I think they've cut some out, because someone noticed something. So like they reveal them, and then the dwarf, I'm forgetting his name, he's like, we've made these together. They're only going to be visible in moonlight. And when I'm like, yeah, but I can see it quite clearly now. So, would you, if you're trying to sell that this is a hidden door, but we can all clearly see the markings.
That's because it's not turned on right now.
So
they've not wired it up to the mains yet.
So here, that's not how it works. So it gets revealed by moonlight. One thing I saw someone put was like, they could have just shot this and have like moonlight shine in and it reveals the door. That would have been a really cool way to show it off. But then someone noticed a frame later where it almost looks like they're using half the door as a table because there's like, it's laid flat and there's stuff on it. To which then people have gone, oh, it was probably carved and it just hasn't been filled with the mithril yet. But they haven't shown us that. So it's almost as if like, I wonder if they did do some of that and it got cut to show a bit.
And then just the way it's been edited in together,
Yeah.
it's just a little bit not quite right.
Which,
I mean,
that
it
in my head,
wouldn't be
I'm
the
like,
first
oh,
time that's happened in TV.
that makes, yeah, exactly. So it's like, I was a bit, at first when I finished watching, because obviously my notes are like right after, I was a bit like, oh, I wanted more of the door. Also, why they could have done a better reveal. But then the idea that maybe it was still unfinished when that scene we got, I can be okay with that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I was kind of my main gripes is just I'm a little worried about the effects of the ring on Durin and what's going on there. I think they can correct it with the right storytelling. It's just, yeah, I don't want them to slip into putting themselves in a position that causes issues down the line in the timeline of things.
What I will say I really enjoyed this episode was like them showing the dangers of the ring conceptually. Like Durin having this power to know where to dig to get the sun back. And then very much getting addicted to it, like you said, like almost a bit One Ring-esque, getting a little bit precious with it and
yes,
a bit greedy with it, and it bringing out the worst parts of him. Because that's kind of always been like the idea. It's not specifically said what the One Ring does that makes you so bad. It just kind of brings out the worst parts of you. It
amplifies things.
Exactly. So I did enjoy the visualization as like a representation of, because we do have to accept, like I said, A, it's an alternate retelling, but B, it's also kind of been written for people who maybe have never watched the films or haven't read the books, and they're just like, I'll watch this thing. And they're like, ring bad, ring scary.
Yeah.
During go from not knowing what to do, be good leader, now he knows where to dig, and bad leader. Ring's fault.
Oh yeah, no, I get what they're trying to do, and I think they are leaning on it at a point of view of like, most of our viewers have probably seen Lord of the Rings because pretty much everyone has seen Lord of the Rings, understands, oh, there was this one ring, it was a bit scary and a bit like mind control-y. So they've kind of lent on those.
Bit scary, bit mind control-y is the perfect way to describe the One Ring.
But it's like, I think they've lent on that as a storytelling mechanic with this one. I think there's a couple of little things. I do like how they're using, for their story, they're using this as why he's digging deeper, his greed, why they would dig deeper, and what is ultimately the downfall of Khazad Dûm. But it's like, I think it could have been maybe done a little better if they'd already shown a little bit of like greed from Durin, rather than it being like Prince Durin says, like, this is unlike my dad. Greed is never his choice. And then it's like, suddenly he's now greedy because he's wearing the ring. I think it would have been, with the idea that they're meant to amplify, not like completely change you, they could have maybe in season 1 or earlier this season shown a bit of that greed showing. Then he gets the ring and suddenly he's like consumed by it. Yeah. But that's like a small thing.
I'm not against sales tax, but 50% or 100% sales tax is fucking crazy.
Yeah. To be taxing his own, I'm a bit like
100%. Because that's what it is. You spend one goes to, that's 100% sales tax. Yeah. That is fucking nuts. Yeah. And Americans would add that on at the till.
Yeah, you have to do it yourself. But I mean, the rings look very cool. I think they look cooler than the elven ones, like in design wise. I liked the fact that they didn't just suddenly have these rings were given to these dwarven lords. Like they made a bit of a more like it was their emissaries had come, had to go back to their lords and whatnot and be like, look, there's these rings that were being offered, rather than it just being like, oh, you get a ring and you get a ring, like out of nowhere. If you're going off the books, technically there's 2 other dwarven lords that currently should be living in Khazad Dûm, because they lost their mountains. So I mean, they can.
How does blood lose a mountain? Just look around.
Dragons. We saw that in the Hobbit. Like you lose access to a home. Should we say
they didn't misplace the mountain? No. The mountain just isn't theirs anymore.
The squatters kicked them out. But yeah, so if they want to go that way, they could easily have a couple of dwarven lords and just make it like they're the living Khazad Dûm. They get a ring. But I think there's a cool possibility we still get to see dwarven lords get handed rings. I think that'd be cool. Trying to think what else went down. Obviously, we got a lot more of Anatar manipulating Celebrimbor.
The Celebrimbor and Anatar stuff was really good in this episode, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
Because it again, it's like it shows the manipulation in a very scary and real way. Of Celebrimbor doesn't just fold under his every word.
No,
he doesn't go jump, and Celebrimbor doesn't go how high.
He's starting to question it now.
Yeah, he's questioning it a little bit, but the manipulation is so strong and so powerful that he gets his own way. It's very much written in a kind of a relation. I mean, they do have a relationship, right? Not a romantic one, but it's very much written in like a traditional relationship manipulation way, which is the easiest way to portray it, and also the scariest way to portray it. It's not just Celebrimbor thinks Anatar's great. It's Celebrimbor thinks he's doing what he wants to do. He's even aware that he's being manipulated a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like...
But he just can't stop it.
We get the thing where then Anatar's like, oh, we need to help the ones who need the help most. Clearly talking about men. To which then, obviously, Celebrimbor goes, oh, you mean to make rings for men? And then he's like, wait, you just kind of set people up to think they have these ideas, but it's what you want. And he calls him out on it. Which almost then, unfortunately, sets him up for failure for the rest of the episode, because Anatar goes, okay, I need to approach how I'm manipulating him, and he completely changes his direction to be like, when the rings, like during Prince Durin's coming to Celebrimbor being like, my dad, something's wrong with the ring, how much do you know about this Anatar guy, because I don't trust him, do you actually know enough? And which is setting these seeds of doubt, to which then Anatar flips it again, or Sauron goes, oh well, we made these rings under deceit because you lied to Gil-galad. And then he's like, he flips it, like the suspicion away from him and puts it back onto himself.
It goes to much more traditional and devious manipulation, bordering on just straight up blackmail.
Yeah, but I also liked, because so far they've kind of made the rings be this like sort of science of mixing metals when they're meant to be magic rings. The idea that it's like their feelings and stuff are affecting the rings as well helps add the fact that these are a magical item they're making, and you're like, oh yeah, this would make sense.
I feel like it's not too bad that it's a little bit scientific, because like elves have been around for so long, they would treat magic a bit like science.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It doesn't
so like
me.
I think they're getting the balance just right, but like I said, putting a bit more emphasis on how they're feeling while doing it might be affecting it. It's a really good way of going, yes, it's science to them, but it's still not science as you and I think of science. It's not pets and shit. It's controlling a situation. Really cool though. And I like the little like tease of like what the One Ring, because that wasn't the One Ring that made her invisible, because they said they were just working on a new mold.
So yeah, they're trying to show like the process, that the trial and error of making a magical item, which obviously went down, but it's like it is kind of hard to show that because like magical items don't exist. So it's like, how do you get that across?
That's a really cool way to, if you want to do something like that in D&D and you had an idea of like a very important magical item at the end, have like a slightly B-Tech one that's a little bit on the fritz earlier in the story, and then later on people will be like, oh, we could have learned so much from that one, but it didn't work, so we traded it for 5 gold pieces.
Well, there is items which have like awakened states in D&D, so same idea. But yeah, so what the elf smith she saw, she talks about like she was in this place of mist and shadow, which is what we know we've seen from like in the Lord of the Rings films where Frodo, when he wears the ring, it's obviously trying to lean on that as a point of reference for fans, which I'm okay with, whether that's like how that the world between is meant to be depicted. that's beside the point. I'm okay with it. I like that she says, "Oh, there was this person in flame and standing tall." So the way the world between, it's meant to be almost like a mirror world. So it mirrors exactly where you are in the world. So actually what she was seeing was Anatar in his true Sauron form.
Oh, yeah.
But then when she's obviously out of it and Anatar's talking to her, he says she saw Celebrimbor and flips and sets like that seed of doubt in her and starts manipulating her as well. So there's this distrust of Celebrimbor. He's just playing every angle possible to get what he wants. But yeah, that idea that playing with a ring, you get some different effects that aren't necessarily what you want and what are meant to happen. I'm sure they'll patch that out in 1.0.
It's really curious to know, though, like, in their version of this story, if Sauron was just kind of fucking about a little bit and then saw that effect and was like, oh, I like that, we'll use that later. Or if that was already his idea and he was working towards that and it just wasn't quite ready yet. Because, like I said, this show has kind of been... the show's not been too obvious about whether everything is going directly to plan for Sauron or if Sauron is really good at adapting to random shit that happens. And I like the idea that this ring, again, could be either way. Is he already working on the One Ring because everything's going so well? Or has he just seen, oh, that ring can make you invisible? That's kind of cool.
So I think, and people that are hard on the books probably will correct me. I think the idea of the One Ring is somewhat of an afterthought when when he realizes his like deception he's weaved in isn't necessarily fully affecting everything. So he's like, oh, I'll make one ring now and I can control them all. But like that idea that like he doesn't know, making the ring. Go on.
You just had the chance to say, I can make one ring to rule them all, and you went for control them all.
All right. You know what?
It's fucking amateur hour over here.
But like, so in the books, like him making the rings, he doesn't know how to. Like, this is why he works with Celebrimbor, because he's like a master smith. He needs that expertise to make these magical items. So it is a case of like when he's trying to do it himself, he's making it a bit too strongly influenced by him, which is not what he's going to want. So it is showing that sort of trial and error from that. I quite liked how they tried to like play off as like, oh, well, we have to make 9 because 9 is 3 times 3 and that makes it 3 times stronger than the elven ones. And then I did to balance all the rings out. That's why we need to make the ones for the men, because it'll balance out what's going wrong with the dwarven ones. Which is another way they might play. Yeah, it's just maths. Triangle's the strongest shape. Yeah. But yeah, that whole method, everything we're seeing from that storyline, I'm really enjoying. Obviously, Gil-galad gets the letter saying the forge is shut down, and we see obviously what they're dealing with. Elrond's sprinting through the forest, dropped his cloak so he could run quicker, which I thought was just a funny. Like, you could tell
that wind resistance.
That actor was booking it as hard as he could for that shot.
Got to respect the actor who gives it some.
Yeah. But obviously he gets back and then Gil-galad's a bit like unsure where he was meant to be sending his army, and he had to make a decision. And then Elrond's like, well, he needs to send him to Eregion. He's like, well, we can't take on Adar and Sauron. Not that I think it's weird because it's like, well, people are like, well, Sauron doesn't have an army there, so it's not like I get that he's a powerful being, but
yeah. And at this point, they're not like 100% certain that Adar and Sauron aren't working together. So in reality, you're just fighting one of them.
Yeah,
like you think they might not be quite aligned, but you don't know that for sure.
I think it's meant to be more like the force. Like Sauron himself is a very scary being to try and take on. So I get like this idea of like trying to get the forces
I'm
together.
Send 3 hobbits and a fucking old dude.
But then across the ocean in Numenor, we get to see the outcome of the coronation. King Pharazôn has taken over. He's got his scepter. What
a great election cycle that was.
Yeah. His son Kemen. We'll
Dick.
get to where that happens later in the show, but even just from the get go, I'm like, this. He just needs
This
punching.
fucking guy, yeah.
But yeah, obviously, we got a weird moment between him and his dad, where his dad's like, "Oh well, when you were on your mother's bosom, and she said you'll have downfall. We'll see if that comes true. If you do me wrong." And it's like, what? It's this weird father-son relationship you've got going on.
Yeah, they are a weird family, full stop.
And then you got the queen or ex-queen, and I'm forgetting his name. The captain. It'll come back to me.
Aragon. Sorry, I've just made that more difficult for you to probably remember the name.
You've so thrown me. It'll come back to me. But they're in her tower, and she's like, obviously we get to find out he did have a vision, even though I thought he hadn't, of the Philanthro, the orb. And his vision was him leaving or riding away from Numenor in what, from my point of view of the vision, looked like smoke rising. So I think that is obviously like conflict is kicked off. He's escaping is his vision, which kind of lines up with the books, because he does, when things get bad at Numenor between the Kingsmen and the like loyalists, not the right word, the faithful to like the elves and stuff, there is a conflict that happens there, and he does end up leaving Numenor and goes to
Elendil.
That's it. And she tells him, she's like, oh, that's a different vision to what I got, so this means we've done the right thing. Don't think that's how that works. Little does she know what we know, which is it all goes wrong anyway. So she's like, she tells
there is
him
a real chance that she's kind of been influenced by that to make the decision that caused it to go wrong. It's always so funny when you see these decisions, because I see why you think that's what you need to do, but ironically, that creates the thing you're scared of.
Yeah, it's playing you into the plan that's going on. So she tells him not to like cause issues, just let things play out, because that's meant to be the right thing. We find out that anyone that was in the Sea Guard are being stripped of their rank.
Yeah, anyone who's seen as still being loyal to the old queen.
To the queen, yeah. And you get freaking Kemen smirking in the corner like a little rat. Then Elendil's daughter, who is also a rat, comes out, and she's like, well, you were all going to get executed, but I made them change. I made this happen instead, because I've gone to the evil side. Why are you angry with me, Dad? She's dead to me.
Yeah,
she chose the wrong side.
The family is very... Well, I'm really curious what happens when she finds out Isildur's not dead. Does she regret her decisions? Or will she only regret them if Isildur's like, you fucking moron, why would you do that?
I think they're going to make it so I think her character will end up regretting her decision, because things are going to go like way too wrong the other way. And
congratulations, you let a fascist be in charge. Are you ready to live with your decisions?
But I thought it was quite a cool moment when Elendil hands his sword in, and then the younger lad, Valindir. Oh, Valindir, yeah. He's
something like that.
Captain leaving deck, and all of them are like still loyal to him right in front of, and you can see it's like Kennan's like, how dare you do this? This isn't right.
You can hear him a couple of times like below them going like, what do you think this is going to accomplish? Why are you doing this? Stop that. It's like I really liked that was there as well. It gave it some depth of them actively going, fuck you, that's my captain.
Yeah, and it shows
captain, my captain,
which I liked, and it's showing this brewing of like tension. I do think they ramped things a bit quickly in one episode. It went from like there's tension, there's a new king, so suddenly we are strong arming anyone that's doing faithful stuff when they break into the temple. that we're told is the oldest temple in Numenor, and then we're going to destroy it for an aqueduct. It's like, whoa, how did we get here so quick?
What I don't understand is why the new king would be anti the religion of the majority of the population, though. Or am I misunderstanding that?
So, in the books, it's a slow build-up of there is already some distrust, and like there is already kind of looked down on the faithful as the old ways.
Okay, so like the society's already moving away from that religion a
Yeah,
little bit. Okay.
it's just, it's like the king comes in, and like obviously that slowly gets pushed down more and more, and then obviously tensions build. They've just ramped this like really quick in one episode, which I would have liked it to be a bit of a more gradual build up. Like I get they've got to speed it up, but like it did feel a bit like it went from,
it could have waited an episode.
yeah, it went from like, oh, we've got this new king, to, oh, the king's now strong arming all the faithful out of everywhere. Whoa. But then we get Kemen finally get sucker punched in the face. So
and
deserved.
It felt good. I didn't even get to throw the punch, but it felt good.
Oh, it felt good. To which then he does exactly what I thought he was going to do. He makes the guards hold Elendil because, he can't do it himself. He wouldn't be able to punch him. Valindil. He wouldn't be able to punch him himself. And then he does a really creepy thing where he like holds his chin.
Yeah.
Before he's about to punch and gets stopped. And then has the little scuffle with the younger lads.
He should have killed him.
When he broke his arm, I was like, fuck yeah.
That was a really nasty sound effect for it as well. The Foley artist went hard on that.
I was like, so deserved. And when he was going to, I was like, just kill him. Go on. But knowing that, like, Valindil's like, stop, I'm like, obviously, I'm like, I know you can't, but I want you to. To then he gets fucking
ignore the script.
He gets stabbed in, like, when I tell you my jaw dropped when he got stabbed in the back, I was just like, no, this isn't fair. This can't happen.
What I will say is that it's funny when we're watching all these other places kind of descend into chaos because of Sauron's doing.
Mm.
And then you look at Numenor, Sauron doesn't really give a fuck about them at the minute, and they're just crumbling themselves.
Well, the thing is, technically, Sauron, like, he mentions Numenor to Celebrimbor, and he's like, oh, they're teetering on chaos and strength.
The dude went through there and was like, oh, this place is going to blow itself up. I don't need to do anything here.
Well, and the thing is like, the Numenor, like, when it's in its height and its forces, do actually scare Sauron because they are incredible warriors. And it's like, him alone can't really take them on. He needs them to self-implode. So it's like, them doing that while he's currently doing everything else he's doing. It's just, yeah.
It's just so funny. He washes up there and he's like, oh, this place is a powder keg. I can just wait these guys out. They'll blow themselves up. Let me go deal with other shit.
Yeah. Let's go set the stage ready for when they do.
Their implosion's almost going to be like his starting gun of letting everyone else know what the plan is.
Yeah. I'm enjoying like how that's ramping up. I'm intrigued to see, like, we see the shot of Farazan's uncovers the Philantril, the orb.
Yeah.
He's obviously going to start using it, but we didn't get to see that. Even though he's like, oh, this is an evil artifact. All bullshit. He just wants it for himself. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I feel like they ramped up a bit quick. I get it. It would have been nicer if it was slower, but I can see where this is going. It wouldn't surprise me if the end of this season is the tensions have really risen between the faithful and the Kingsmen, and you see Valindril leaving for Westeros, Western Middle Earth. Like, and then we know next season he's going to find his son, and that. That's where I think this might go. We've got, because it's 8 episodes for the season, and this was episode 5, so we've got 3 more. So we're good. Sorry?
Is it only 8 episodes?
I'm sure
I thought it was 10.
I had in my head it was 8.
You might be right.
Season 2. Rings of
Well,
Power
why are we doing? I know we've not long
episode.
had a rant about this, but why are we doing 8-episode seasons, Bled? They could slow down the chaos in Numenor and the Balrog situation if they just had 5 more episodes a season.
I think, yeah, it is 8 episodes.
Well, that sucks. We're already over halfway done this season.
Yeah, at least they are long episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like there's some of the
short.
fast stuff could have been stretched out if they did. Yeah, I agree. A couple more episodes.
Absolutely.
And we know that we're going to get another episode with wizards
Yeah.
being the main storyline, where we probably won't touch on Numenor. So then you're down to 2 episodes. We know the fight at Region is going to be kind of how this season ends. We've seen the build up to that. Oh, Gil-galad has a vision of like fish, orcs, Sauron. So from the trailer, people have theorized that the orcs are going to block the river around Region, and that's how they fight. So I think that's sort of what he's getting visions of. But yeah, that's obviously where the season's going to build up to, is the fall of Region.
Does this season end with Region falling, Sauron killing Adar, and taking command of Adar's army?
I think so. The thing with Adar is unknown because Adar's made for the show.
New character, yeah.
So how that plays into things, I don't know. Obviously, we got to see Galadriel had got brought back to camp, and he's like, "We have a common enemy. Let's work together." I don't think they do. She's going to escape and run away. She's not going to want to work with orcs. But yeah, we know Region falls. I think it's going to be a case of they finish the Rings for Men. I think Celebrimbor is going to then maybe he ends up, Anatar reveals himself because of the fight happening at Region, because they've come to kill Sauron. He then realizes the mistakes he's made. All of that's going to come to a climax at the end. And obviously the rings are then going to get handed out to the men, which I would actually quite like if this ends with like Region falls and Sauron takes the rings for men to give out himself, and we still get that kind of idea of Sauron handing out the rings, so that helps with the influence. Because I don't see how in 3 episodes they're going to go find 9 men that are worthy of the rings.
This is Bill. This is other Bill. That's John.
Oh, that was a fun. I don't know the lore behind these names, but when Celebrimbor mentioned, or when they mentioned there was good men to the elves, and they name drop a few, they're like in the books very known characters that were either married to elves or did great things.
Fair enough.
But yeah, this episode was much better. Also, though, it kind of adds my like concern from last week where I said the Hobbit and Wizard story feels like a side story. Thinking we only have 3 episodes left, like we're gonna get what, 1 more of them. They're still not really gonna get tied into what's going on, which is like why I'm still a bit like, eh.
Yeah.
But also worries me that we're not gonna they're still not gonna name who these wizards are. Thinking about it, which.
It gives them more time for them to realise that people want them to be the Blue Wizards.
If we go 2 seasons and season 3 they name them as Gandalf and Saruman, I'm gonna be annoyed.
Yeah, that's valid.
But yeah, it was overall good episode, and I'm still enjoying the show.
There is always the chance that when the 2 wizards meet, that meeting of power allows them to remember their names.
Possibly.
Which would kind of make sense based on like the discussion around names having power and such.
Yeah, it would.
It would make sense that it takes a being of similar power to unlock your name.
Yeah.
DLC, killing the storytelling. Let's move on to something else magical.
Yes. Which
Agatha All Along.
It's around the corner.
Yeah, it's coming out next Thursday. I have mixed feelings about this.
Yeah,
because it's not something I want or wanted per se. It's not something I asked for. It's not something I think we needed. But it looks like they've done a really good job of getting a cast together and putting a production together that I think is going to be entertaining.
Yeah, I think there was a period of time when we did want this, which was right after WandaVision. Everyone was a bit like, "Oh, this Agatha character has got revealed at the end. Who's this?" Then just a lot's happened in the MCU since then that I feel like the general fandom and population are a bit like, we don't. This isn't part of everything like the main story anymore.
It's been nearly 4 years.
Yeah. I think it has, like, from what we've seen, I'm predicting the idea that they've kind of gone similar idea of WandaVision, of like using how WandaVision used sitcom styles per episode. I think we're gonna get like references to different classic witch films, and it's like gonna clearly be weaved in there and play into that idea of like style of how WandaVision was done. I think it could be good. Potential to be like explore that side of things with Wanda and the witches and that, explain it a bit more to people that don't really understand that side of things.
It's looking incredibly likely that Wiccan's being introduced through the show. We've got an actor just known as the Teen, who's the right kind of age. And in one of the trailers, she goes, "What's your name?" He goes to say his name, and the magic close it up, and people are looking at the way his mouth moves underneath, and people are like, "I'm 90% sure he says Bobby Maximoff."
Is this going to be a bit like the Quicksilver thing they did in WandaVision?
Well, I know it's caused a bit of controversy because the actor playing him, I believe, is gay, and Wiccan is gay.
Right.
But Wiccan is not what would be traditionally known as a very camp gay man.
Like
He's a very subdued gay man.
Okay.
Whereas this character seems to be more flamboyantly gay. So people are like, I'm not sure I like that. Because some people view a flamboyant gay as quite stereotypical.
I get you.
So people are like, when he's never been written that way, why would you choose to do that? I don't know enough about the character to have an opinion.
Yeah.
What I will say is I'm excited at the idea of Wiccan when we know Young Avengers are being built up and he's a part of Young Avengers.
There you go.
That's something that I'm kind of like,
cool.
that could be quite cool. It would make me ask where Speed is, though.
Right. I mean, my thing, obviously you need to try and get these things across in a trailer, but at the end of the day, it is a trailer. You're basing that off a handful of brief scenes to get an actual feel of how he's portraying that character. You've got to wait for the show.
Absolutely.
But we'll see.
But yeah, there's something about the effort that's gone into the set design, and like the visuals in the trailer makes it look like a really nicely shot show.
I think it's going to be a similar thing that happened with Wanda, where people were going in like unsure because the trailer was very strange, and then everyone was like, "Wait, this is such a cool like way to visually like this." The creativity behind that was so well done. I think we could see the same again. I've a bold prediction that we're going to get an answer to what happened to Wanda in the show.
I would like that very much. I'd like the confirmation that she's alive and plotting something. Or not even plotting, maybe just planning if it's like good plans. But yeah, my expectation for this show is I might not necessarily enjoy the story, but I've got a feeling I'm going to sit there and find it very visually appealing the entire time. I think the performances are going to be really good the entire time.
Yeah.
I genuinely think I'm going to sit here and go, the script was weak. The actors and creatives who made this show happen deserved a better script. That's what I genuinely think I'm going to be sat here talking about.
I think the script will be okay. I think more so it'll kind of be a case of, this was cool. Did we need it in the big story of the MCU? Like,
especially
did it really
when so
add
many
anything
shows
to what's
are
going
like
on?
not getting greenlit because of budget restrictions.
Yeah, I'm like, you're trying to do this big MCU world. This didn't really fit. It can be great, but if it didn't feel like it was connected into it in any way, it's a bit like.
There is a genuine question to be asked though. Does this give us anything towards a Midnight Suns project, being in that kind of mystical realm?
Possibly.
Does it give us something in there? Does it give us a Mephisto and maybe a reference to a Ghost Rider? Does it give us a bit of information on some scary magical books that the Midnight Suns might need to track down? Because they've said post Doomsday, whichever one's the last one, Secret War, they want to get into more ground level stuff and more mystical stuff in the X-Men and kind of break the MCU down into like different styles of storytelling. And they're trying to set up them different styles before we get there so that people are like, okay, I just want to watch street level, I just want to watch the big team up film, stuff like that. So do we get more of and that? Do we get a setup for like a Werewolf by Night season 2 or episode 2?
And we might actually, by Secret War, have a Blade film.
We might, if the rumors are to be believed. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of curious to know. We're not the kind of people who sit here and scream about, oh, it's not interconnected enough.
No.
This show, because of the nature of it, does need to lend itself to something bigger to be worth it.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling it's not going to do particularly well viewership wise. I'd say MCU TV stuff is at like an all-time low of interest. This show is probably at the bottom of that as well.
Yeah.
It's coming at the right time. We're coming into autumn when the weather's getting like, even this week, last week was still like 20-degree weather. I've not even got my fan on in here now. I'm like a nice temperature. So maybe they can grab enough attention that way. But
yeah, and you never know. It could be sort of like WandaVision where people weren't really interested, and then everyone saw what it actually was, and suddenly it was like, "Oh, this is a cool. I'm going to watch this."
So. I completely agree. But yeah, it's very much a an unknown quantity right now. But that's quite nice.
Yeah,
it's nice to not know what we're going to get. And from Agatha All Along, we move on to Josh All Along. He's back again. How are you, buddy? What have you got for us?
Yeah, we got a good month this time, actually. A few games have been out that we've been playing. Kicking off from last month, we've got Black Myth Wukong, which a lot of Game of the Year shouts, but it's actually only sitting on an 81 on Metacritic. So I don't know how that translates to Game of the Year. I've still not played it yet, but so I won't have an input on that. WoW War Within, 84. Pretty solid score. Star Wars Outlaws, ones that we was all quite looking forward to, is actually only sitting on a 76. We're aware of some of the issues that there's been with that one. I'm pretty sure all over Twitter and social media you'd have probably seen the same. Astrobot, my game of the year so far, 94 on Metacritic so far. Second highest score this year, just behind Shadow of the Erdtree Elden Ring DLC. And Warhammer Space Marine, which Hori will come on to in a bit, that he's been playing, is sitting on an 83, which is pretty respectable.
Yeah.
Yet to release, so this will be rest of August, we're in September now, aren't we? Rest of September, early October, before next month's episode. Plucky Squire, which I've had on my wish list since it got announced last year, September 17th, and if you got PS Extra, that will be day one available to play, so I will be there. Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, September 26th, obviously Switch exclusive. EA Sports FC 25, Con, don't know if you're getting that one. September 27th. We'll see. One that you will be getting, Starfield Shattered Space DLC.
We will be so unbelievably there.
September 30th, obviously Xbox and PC exclusive. And Silent Hill 2, I will be there, October 8th. I'm pretty sure that might just be PlayStation exclusive, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe PC.
Am I losing my mind here, or is that a remake? I swear
the original Silent Hill 2 was on New 2.
Okay, cool. I swear that game's been out for fucking ever. Okay, cool. It's a remake.
It is a remake for new gen.
Never ever beating the allegations that the PlayStation 5 is just a remake console. Never ever beating the allegations.
What do you mean? No.
Hate to see it. Announcements, news, and updates. So back to Black Myth Wukong. Obviously, a lot of people saying Game of the Year. It sold 10 million copies within the first 3 days of its release, breaking the Steam sales record, and it also achieved the highest second peak, only behind PUBG. I'm pretty sure it had like 2.5 million concurrent players at one point.
Yeah, and it also made Steam break its record for just on the platform of concurrent players ever.
It's
which was
bonkers.
something like 40-something million.
In China, you had entire factories giving people the day off to go play it because, like, the story that it's based on, the legend it's based on, is so important to Chinese mythology. They were like, "No, this is fucking awesome. Everyone, go play video games."
And I'm thinking the 81 score that it's got is probably because I know it critically reviewed very well. I'm assuming this is all a lot of hate.
Well, my
potentially
understanding was people were finding it really hard.
Okay.
And you know what people like when they're like, it's too hard.
Yeah, when it first came out, I saw it on like an 87 on Metacritic, and I didn't realize it had dropped down to an 81. I also heard that when it came to PlayStation, they were like it wasn't quite stable, so I don't know if maybe that affected
I'm pretty sure 81 is the average. I'm pretty sure PlayStation's version is like a 78, 79, I want to say. So that one is bringing it down, but I'm pretty sure it critically reviewed well. It's just this is all like general because obviously there was the whole uproar with people being stupid, probably just bringing down the score, which obviously is never ideal. Devs have put a lot of work into the game and they're just gonna review bomb it like a bunch of melts, but it is what it is. That's the gaming sphere these days. But people were rightly
speaking of devs, I spent a lot of time on something
8 years of production, and the Concord servers were indeed taken offline on the 6th of September, just weeks after the game had launched. Refunds are being issued to those who purchased the game. And according to Game Brand, the estimated sales figures across Steam and PS5 are just 25,000. So comparing that to the 10 million of Black Myth is,
you know what?
Slightly different.
I don't know if I said it to one of you boys or if it was somewhere else I said it, or someone said it to me. I just remember this being said by someone somewhere. It's so lucky for PlayStation that Astro Bot came out when it did to very quietly just push away the Concord news. Because if they didn't have something to come out and be like so well received, that Concord stink would have just sat there for a little while, and then the PS Pro, which we'll get into a bit, I'm sure, controversy around that without something in the middle to break it up could have really, really been bad for Sony.
Yeah.
I mean, any thoughts on Concord?
So, obviously everyone's blaming the execs. I'm going to be careful. You can't blame this whole thing on the execs. Yes, I'm sure the execs at PlayStation or the publisher or whatever that were pushing certain decisions caused some of the issues. And yes, I'm sure plenty of the devs put their heart and soul into it. What I've seen since is like some of the concept arts leaked of some of the characters, because a big part of the like dislike for this game was the character design. The concept art looks sick, and everyone that's seen that has gone, yeah, this looks sick. How did that concept art turn into this? Apparently some of the artists have like spoken on Reddit and stuff. A lot of the game was designed by committee, which when I hear that, I'm like, yeah, that's never going to go well, because you get execs, you get too many people being like wanting to give their opinion.
Too many chefs.
Things get diluted down. People's personal agendas get pushed onto things, and then it's like, yeah, you lost all this heart and soul of these character designs. So I think it's the devs at the top are to blame, the execs are to blame. I still stand by that if this was done by a good studio who actually like made a solid game, it would have popped off and could have been a really great hero shooter. But yeah.
The struggle I have with that is they started making this game 8 years ago. That's pre-Fortnite.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They're still late to the party.
The gaming world is completely different. So, like, the concept they're taking there, it should never ever take 8 years for a multiplayer shooter to come to fruition. There is no need for a game to take that long.
I would guess this is about too many chefs. Like two things taking too long to get to a final decision.
a story game taking 8 years, like we've seen with like Red Dead and GTA, that makes complete sense. Because guess what? You've got an entire story. You're going to build that up, and you know where you're going the whole time, or most of the time. When you've got something like Concord, it's a hero shooter. I'm not being funny. Some really talented indie devs could make a comparable game in, like, it's not like they were trying anything outrageously new in 2 years.
Oh yeah, it took too long.
And that's, I think, why Sony gave up on it so quickly as well. Because running a studio for 8 years to make this game is going to have run up a lot of costs. Meaning this is probably a really expensive shooter game that has just come out and everyone's gone, eh?
With the sales figures of 25k, it's not worth the money continuing development, is it? It's just
no, and it's unfortunate for those devs that have spent 8 years putting like passion into it, who now are probably going to lose all their jobs.
Probably.
And at the end of the day, it probably isn't their fault. It's the people above them. But yeah, there's whoever the ones at the top were clearly don't have a great idea of how to manage a studio in current climate. Maybe those people need to be looked at. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me if Sony pulled it. This is gonna it gives them a tax break because they'll have made a fat loss on this.
It's just annoying for me because I don't think this is the sole reason for the failure, but I do think, and I mentioned it to you boys, we were chatting about it recently, that the hero shooters we got out at the minute, Overwatch 1, 2, Rogue Company, not saying that popped off. What else we got? Marvel Rivals coming out. All these hero shooters are free to play. And then you got PlayStation who are like, yeah, we've got a hero shooter. Everyone's like, oh, here we go. This is me included. You were going to be charging you £35, $40 for it. And then a lot of people were like, do I want to play something in a very saturated market of hero shooters? Do I want to be spending £35 on it when a lot of other hero shooters, Roku, for example, we really liked, but do we stick to it or do we go through phases of it?
Oh no,
it is a tough one.
I don't disagree. The £35 was like the kind of the final hurdle that stopped a lot of people.
It was a factor, not the sole reason.
Yeah, sure. I still believe like I said, a good studio that absolutely nails that. If it's a good game, it'll be like a Helldiver situation.
Well, Helldivers,
where the game's popping off, everyone's loving it. It's so much fun that you go, oh wait, £35 for this, and it looks that good.
25.
Well, yeah, but it's still
Helldivers, but it's still a paid game
compared to like the 60-70 quid games that we are currently getting. You look at 35 like, oh, that's a good deal.
But I think 35-40 quid is in a weird middle bracket. Less than 30, and this is just me, obviously, everyone's financial situation is different, but less than 30 quid, if a game is even semi-interesting to me, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll spend 30 quid on food when I'm in like a really foodie mood. So spending 30 quid in a game that might be fun, or 25 quid in a game that might be fun, I'm like, you know what? That's worth it. More than that, I'm actually thinking about it. And 40 quid, I'm like, you don't even believe in that enough to charge full price, but you're not making it don't think about it price. So what is that? And I think that's the thought process for a lot of people, because that price of game doesn't exist anymore, really. So everyone's like, okay, so it's not a AAA price, but it's not a forget about it, it's worth it price. So where does that price sit? Because whether we like it or not, when something is priced a certain way, we do instinctively kind of use what other things are priced at that level
as like,
okay, how good is this thing? If the last thing Sony released at 25 quid was Helldivers, and then Concord came out at 25, a lot more people would have gone, might worth a try.
Yeah.
But that just a little bit more at that price point, you're just like, but why?
Yeah, it's just they just failed on execution.
Big time.
Unfortunately, the devs, the ones that have done all the work, are the ones that are going to pay the price and end up losing their jobs, unfortunately.
Yeah, terrible.
It is tough. But to be a bit more uplifting, we're going to be speaking of some positives now. Boys, what have we been playing recently?
Do you know what's really funny? kind of everything and nothing. I'm back on Cyberpunk at the minute, which I'm loving. We've been playing Deadlock. I've been jumping in for a bit of X Defiant by myself. I've been playing some Spectre Divide. I've been playing some Assassin's Creed Origins. I've been playing some Cricket 24. I've literally just been kind of playing whatever.
Whatever you
finally
fancy.
played Harry Potter Quidditch Champions the other night. That was a good game. Really, really solid feeling. I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, like there's a lot, but nothing that's kind of all consuming me at the minute, which is a weird feeling.
I'm like the opposite. I have like 2 games consuming me. It was Deadlock, purely like full. That got into that, and then it was just like, oh, I don't want to play anything else. I did give I gave Spectre Divide a chance with you because I'd played the beta for that. I was just like, it's hadn't really changed much from the beta. Obviously, I didn't expect it to, but it's like
This
it's
one's Shroud's game, isn't it?
Yeah, Shroud's game.
Yeah.
It's an interesting take on a tactical shooter. It does something a little different. Certain bits of it that are like, yeah, it is fun. It's just it's a tactical shooter at the end of the day, and it is one of those games that I think I do worry about its longevity because it's a sort of game like what happened with CS Go, which is like people get to a point where they can just one tap perfectly all the time, and because there's no movement penalty from like strafing and stuff, that's easier to do than normal.
You've got a lot of people just screaming cheater, cheater when someone's just very good.
Well, yeah, you'll very quickly kind of close the door on any new players having a fun time. But yeah, unfortunately, it's like they've released it as I'm like everyone's getting into Deadlock. Yeah. It's just unfortunate timing, which is funny as well because it's like Shroud's loving Deadlock, and obviously when the game came out, he obviously had to stream Spectre Divide, and me and my mate were like, I wonder how badly he wishes he was playing Deadlock right now, but instead he's got to promote this game that he's been a part of helping. But yeah, Deadlock, and then literally from Monday, Space Marines 2 came out, and I've played it every free moment at the moment.
It looks gorgeous.
It's visually absolutely stunning. The sense, so Warhammer, for people that don't know anything about Warhammer, yeah, for the uninitiated who don't believe in the Emperor, Warhammer is essentially a fantasy world which is a warring universe. Everyone is at war. There is no good faction. Everyone is essentially evil in their own right. But you have like superhuman soldiers versus orcs that can kind of just imagine whatever the fuck they want versus a hive mind insect just swarm that overrun everything. Plus then you have like demonic versions of the superhuman soldiers. Everyone's just fighting. It's a very interesting world. Everything is like massive scale in that world, like machines, and it's like this idea that everything's grown to. So that sense of scale they've nailed in this game, because already you're like I don't know actual heights, but I'm going to guess like your Space Marines are like 10 foot tall. There's normal sized people around in the world, so you're like oh, I feel massive. You walk like round a corner and the environment is just fucking huge, and you're like, oh, this is just like you're just in awe of the environment. They've absolutely nailed it. It's so much fun to play, just smashing up insects. It has that same vibe that Helldivers does have, but the gameplay loop is very similar, slightly different. I think there's a lot more to the grind in this than Helldivers. Helldivers was just you grinding to unlock the battle, like the different things in the battle pass, and get it that way. This, you pick a class, and you grind to unlock levels and better perks for that class, and you essentially get stronger.
Almost like a more traditional leveling system.
Yeah, the customization is like Space Marines. For people that know 40k, there's like factions. Most of the like common ones are in there, so you can unlock which one you want. All their DLC is going to be just cosmetic based. They're doing like 4 free updates of DLC with content. They've got loads of content planned. The fun thing I found is, which is different to a normal game, you do the campaign. When you finish the campaign, the co-op like operation missions that are the replayability, you are essentially the B team going into the same missions you've just done in the campaign. So you get to see the same story from a different perspective.
Different perspective. That's cool.
Which is a lot of fun. And there's a lot of cool, like, some of the missions have some really cool mechanics in them that you kind of have to, like, puzzle mechanics and stuff. So the replayability is a lot of fun. I haven't touched the PvP yet, but people seem to be enjoying that, as people always love.
Yeah, I feel like PvP in a Warhammer game is like really important. It needs to be engaging.
I think the only comment I've seen is people wish it was more like 6v6 instead of 3v3. Just so it's a bit more going on in a game.
Yeah, because imagine in like, if you talk about the scale of the environment and stuff, 3v3 can feel
if
quite
some of the maps
slow.
are quite, I don't know what the maps are like, but I imagine if some of the maps are a bit big, 3v3 might feel a bit just lacking. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'm very much hooked on it.
Yeah, you've been playing? My Deadlock's got me by the balls at the minute. I won't lie. I've got Steam open now. Horror, you've got 56.1 hours. I'm at 41.
Nice.
I would be on way more if Space Marine hadn't come out.
So this is, I know it's not fully MOBA, but this is my first MOBA. Coming from playing a lot of shooting games, sort of having that as my safety net whilst learning the MOBA is a lot of fun, because I consider myself maybe just slightly above average at shooting games, maybe. So it's helping a lot, because you do find on the game that there's a lot of people who are good at MOBAs but not as good as the shooting part. But I'm just hooked at the minute. Like I say, 41 hours. I'll probably play some after we finish recording. I'm just hooked. But I did have a break. Astro came out on Friday. I pre-ordered the game. I pre-ordered the special edition controller. Obviously, you know me.
Controller is sick.
The controller is sick. As you know me, I'm a very, very heavy bias on the PlayStation side, and it is my game of the year so far. I don't even think it's close. It's funny you said it, because obviously Deadlock's not a full game yet, but it is up there. But Astrobot, the sound design, the haptic and the feedback in the DualSense controller, the missions, the replayability of the missions, the trophies were fun. I've got the platinum already. It is just, anyone with a PlayStation has to get it. It is a must play. 94 it's sitting on Metacritic at the minute.
Okay.
Wow.
Far be it me to piss on anyone's parade. And as we've established, I play all platforms. I'm just a video game lover. So I'm not trying to be a devil's advocate here. I'm trying to be unbiased. I don't think this game would be a 94 if it was a third-party game that just so happened to only decide to release on PlayStation. Like, you do get some development companies like, I'm not going to spend the time making it available for multiple platforms. I think if this was called Space Boy and it was made by a little studio in Dublin, even if it was the exact same game, I don't think it'd get this much hype, because there is a big bias towards PlayStation in journalism, in video game journalism, and I'm not saying it's not great, let's not get that fucking twisted for a second, it looks phenomenal, but I get the feeling that something that would be an 80 to 85 becomes a 90 to 95 when it's PlayStation.
I suppose it's hard to say, and it's speculation, I suppose, because this is essentially, Astrobot is PlayStation's Mario, it's Galaxy, Odyssey, the 3D platform. So it is hard to say. It is what it is, I suppose, isn't it? You can speculate and try and guess what other teams would do and stuff. But it just
and
comes as
and
part
once
of
I
it, doesn't it?
finally play it, I'll have a better understanding of whether like
Have
that
you
is just an
played
outside looking in.
Astro's Playroom?
Yeah. I played that, and it was very, very good.
It's essentially that with much more levels, better sound design, more haptics, more items, and different types of things to do. It's basically that, but a much bigger experience.
So what you've just said to me though is it's taken a tech demo, which is what Astro's Playroom was, to show off what was new with the PlayStation 5 in such a fun way, and they made it a full game for £60.
Essentially,
Seems like a smart business move, in my opinion.
Oh, I'm not saying it isn't, and don't get me wrong, the game looks fun. Visually looks great. I just don't think if this had been done by a third-party developer, that it would be receiving this much praise.
Well, it's tough to know because it's like because it's PlayStation's like thing, they're gonna put more marketing into it. Would if you compared it to a different studio but got the same level of marketing, the same push from PlayStation themselves, I think it probably could still get the same score. But if it was just like you're saying, like this is another PlayStation release, then maybe it wouldn't quite have reached it because it hasn't got that same like big push behind it. But that's like anything.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have a better idea once I eventually get around to playing it. I might play it and I might go, you know what? I was fucking wrong. That game is phenomenal.
If you like 3D platformers, you'll love it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Like, when was the last time a 3D platformer got a 90 plus on Metacritic?
Don't know, but it's quite a bit on Mario Sunshine.
Mario Odyssey. Let me check the score on that. Actually,
like you said, the only game it's close to this year or has beaten it this year is Shadow of the Erdtree. Shadow of the Erdtree is an all-timer. Literally an all-timer, and that was just a DLC.
Yeah.
I just, maybe it's a little bit of bias as someone who likes story-focused games a little bit more. I struggle to believe a 3D platformer is comparable.
Well, Mario Odyssey on a Metacritic is a 97.
There you go, and that's fucking Mario.
Yeah, but that's the thing. There's a lot of people that love those styles of games, but they're only really ever limited. Like Mario is like the pinnacle. And
you got to remember there is a lot of stinky Mario games.
But it's like the chance to get that on the PlayStation.
They're going to be coming for you for that one.
the chance to get a game like that on PlayStation, obviously people are going to love it.
Yeah, and I don't want this to be taken as I think the game is bad. The game looks so good, and I do intend on playing it. It's just more of a food for thought comment than anything else.
Well, moving on from your, or more like continuing your PlayStation hate speech, Con, you're going to be kicking us off for your thoughts on the news/showcase. We had a 9-minute presentation on Tuesday, was it?
Yeah,
it would have been Tuesday night. Showing off the PlayStation 5 Pro. It was rumored. We finally got to see it. 9 minutes of waffle is the best way to describe it. But Con, kick us off with your early thoughts.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head. It is absolutely 9 minutes of waffle. They've, for something that was titled as a tech, what was it? A tech
preview?
Tech
I can't remember this.
preview or something.
Yeah,
they gave it a
like
really technical sounding name. And they've given no actual details in that sense. They've given us ballparks and percentages. They've not given us anything to base off of.
It sounds like a GPU reveal.
The big thing that pissed a lot of people off was the use of a 10-year-old game as like the showcase of what the new console could do. Why using The Last of Us to show off your new PlayStation 5 Pro?
It's one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, cool. Show us something from this decade. Show us something from this year. That's weird. And the big thing that me and you were talking about, and I think we got our wires crossed over messages slightly, is I don't understand where this fits in the gaming ecosphere. You've got consoles like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, which are £500-ish. We'll just say, I think it's like £400 to £500 for a brand new one. Sweet. The kind of people who want to spend that much money to be able to game will get one of them. The kind of people who want to spend £700 a game would rather get the PlayStation 5, which is still a phenomenal good console, that based on the way last generation is still being treated, games are still going to be made to run smoothly on this generation in probably 8 years' time. And then you've got £200 to spend on games. Or if you care about specification that much to want the newest, most powerful thing, you're going to look at £700 for that, not including the disk drive and stand, which adds like another £100+ onto it. And you're going to go, fuck it, for £812 or whatever it is to get the whole thing, I'm going to go buy a PC that's going to have a third. Like, my PC is probably worth about £800 now, based on like what me and West have been discussing. This can run Cyberpunk, which is like the benchmark for difficult to run PC game at the minute. Ultra settings with like decent level of ray tracing on it at 60 FPS. Like, there's some big, like, I don't understand who this console is for, apart from people like me who like to be able to play everything at launch and have more money than me to spend on that stuff.
Oh,
that's my I don't understand where the product exists.
This is for either the diehard PlayStation fans, or the console gamers that have like a 10K freaking TV that does 4K. Like, it's the people that have a lot of money but love to game, but their realm of gaming is console, so they're like, oh, why wouldn't I just get the most top of the line PlayStation?
Maybe this is just a me thing. Where are them people?
Oh, there is plenty of those people.
Is there though?
Yeah.
That play something other than Madden and FIFA? Because the people you're discussing with the big fucking TVs just play the sports games.
Yeah, and they'll still buy a PlayStation Pro.
I don't think they will. I think a lot of people who are going to play the sports games will spend that £200 on fucking FIFA points.
I think people love to have the top line spec.
Yeah.
It's why people buy iPhone Pros.
People don't need the Pros. They don't need me. I'll get this 16 tomorrow. People don't need the Pros. They want the Pro because it says Pro, because it's the newest and best thing.
People just love having the top spec stuff, so they're literally playing into this market of.
Maybe and based on like the reaction online, I think they might miscalculate it slightly.
I think the average gamer doesn't care. But the thing is, the amount, I can guarantee there's plenty of people that are probably like, oh, this is crazy expensive. When it comes out, they'll probably quietly go and buy it anyway. There's plenty of people that will act one way online and still go buy it.
And there is a lot of hate, but the price is warranted. The outrage to the price is warranted.
Yeah.
The big thing as well, which someone picked up on, which might be a bit nitpicky, but I can also see their concern around it, is they said the system can target 4K 120. And it's like, okay, so how close does it get to that target? It's always a big problem when they use quite wishy-washy, especially when you're going to brand this as a technical demonstration. You don't give actual numbers and you use words like, we're aiming for and targeting. It's like, okay, what am I actually getting?
Here's my thing always been with consoles. It's like, they'll say, oh, this can do 4K 120 FPS. It's like, cool. That doesn't matter if the devs of the game aren't making your game run at 4K 120 FPS. Like, they can say, like, sure, the hardware and this is sort of defending PlayStation. Like, they can put the hardware there, but if the devs don't use it to the full capability, that's not really on them.
But this goes back to what I was saying previously. There are still being games made for the base PS4 and the base Xbox,
which is stupid.
And as we know from the way developers do things, they cater to the lowest common denominator, so they make sure them consoles can run these games. Which means, like you said, you're not going to get anything extra from the PS5 Pro right now. My honestly best bet, even if you want it, don't buy it. Wait 6 months. If everyone does that, it will come down by £100. You'll have more games being made that are actually worth it for it by then. Then buy it. Save yourself £100 and have more ready to go on it.
It is a hard one because obviously the price is stupid, and I'm pretty sure the price difference between the Pro and the normal wasn't as much as the PS4. But the PS4 Pro, a lot of people that got speculation on launch and ended up selling shitloads.
That
it is a hard one.
$400 4 years ago.
It is hard.
And also, if that was 2020, that would have been coming into COVID as well. And a lot of people went out and bought games consoles and PC components during COVID.
I think it'll sell better than people realize.
Oh, it will sell better
I
than
do as
the
well.
internet thinks, absolutely.
100%.
But I think unless you are like, I want to get back into gaming, this thing's new, I'll get it. I'd say hold off for 6 months, and I promise you will get it cheaper because they will cave.
I just think the funny thing will be when this is the PS5 Pro now. It's like, okay, they've literally done every version of the PS5 that they can. So they're obviously going to be working on the PlayStation 6 next.
The 6 will be the next console from Sony, unless they do a designated handheld that isn't cloud gaming, essentially like a Vita PSP situation. I can't imagine there being another PS5 Pro Slim or whatever.
I've always thought mid-cycle refreshes for consoles is a bit weird anyway. So
it's just like everything.
It feels more like because we know PlayStation take a loss on their PlayStation 5s, PlayStation 4s. It feels like they have to do a mid-cycle refresh in the hopes of making up that money. Because if they would have released this exact same thing at launch of the PS5 instead, but at 600 instead of 500, they would be worse off. So they have to do it this way. I think this literally just exists to try and bring down the margin on how much they lose from the base model.
Well, and this is just this is just a console cycle now. So they know it works. So why would they change?
And I think I did see a funny tweet that it goes with everything. Everything gets so much hate nowadays. It's like, if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. It's there. It's no one's forcing you to buy it. If you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. And I think so many people are just getting so angry about it that, fair enough, if it doesn't appeal to you, if the price is too much, just don't buy it if you don't need it.
I do agree overall with the sentiment. I think there's a big difference here, though. I would say don't send hate to anyone who's excited for it and wants to buy it. But it's absolutely fine to let the company know that you disagree with that. So if someone wants to tweet and go, Sony, that is not what I'm looking for, and like loads of people are like, that's not for me, I don't see a problem with that. But if you tweet out whenever the pre-order goes live, so happy I've got my PS5 Pro, no one should be giving you shit for it because it's your money that you've decided you want to spend on that. I think that's a big difference. It's absolutely fine to go, that's not for me, but don't give people who are like, oh, that is for me shit.
Excited for it,
yeah. That's when people are being weird, and that needs to stop.
So, on that note, will anyone here be buying a PS5 Pro?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Day one. I'm buying 6.
Anymore.
The funny thing is,
back in its box under my bed.
The funny thing is, I was interested originally. I've got a day one PS5 that even if there was a Pro, I wouldn't have sold this one. I would have kept the day one edition just because I'm a bit of a nerd like that, and would have bought a PS5 Pro. And I still think if it was 600 quid, I would have been tempted. I'd love, so at the minute on PS5 games you get the choice of fidelity or performance. Performance is much smoother, 60 FPS, doesn't look as good. Fidelity looks better, runs at 30. This is essentially combining the two, so you can play like 4K 60 FPS. I would be there. I normally play on performance mode and have to suffer at the visuals. I do think if this was £600, I would be swayed, but the extra 100 without a disc drive, because I use physical media, I buy everything on disc. Yeah, you're looking at 800 quid, because I'm pretty sure the disc drive in the UK is £99.
Yeah, and
so
then
I'm looking
another
at
25 for the stand as well.
So you look at 825 quid for a full setup,
which is insane.
Come GTA 6, I could be there because I'd want that thing looking as good as possible. But for now,
I'll have to pay 100 quid for GTA 6.
I will be there regardless, mate.
Real question though, just on that. Where's your PC? Where's your PlayStation set up? Is it in the front room or is it in your office?
At the minute, it's right next to me here.
Cool. What's your monitor's resolution?
240 hertz. Something I can't remember the full specs of it.
Cool. So it's not a 4K monitor. So you're not getting 4K anyway. And this is the thing.
If I play it here,
how many people actually have
downscaled is still better than
like it is better. It is not that noticeable to the majority of people. And like even a lot of 4K TVs that people might have bought 5 years ago don't support HDMI 2.1, which is needed for 4K on the TV from the console anyway. So there are going to be a lot of people who buy this who are going to then go, it doesn't look any different. And it's because their TV doesn't have... A lot of people would have to spend probably in the neighborhood of $2,000 to actually be able to get the most out of this console right now.
I think there's plenty of those people that will.
Oh, maybe there is, but I think there's just as many people who will buy this console and then complain when it doesn't look any better because they've not realised they need a new TV.
I actually think there's more people that will buy it and think it looks better, even though it probably doesn't.
Oh, the placebo's going to go
effect.
crazy. Yeah, for sure.
It's fine. PC Master Race. Don't have to worry about consoles.
Yeah, boy. I'm so excited for my PC upgrade.
What nerd. No, but rounding it up, those who tuned in last month know we've done a 10-question quiz, and we'll be doing this every episode going forward.
Quiz.
As this was quite a longer episode, we had a lot to talk about and discuss. It will be 5 questions, and following on, there was a bit of a theme with PlayStation. So we got a PlayStation-themed quiz to go along.
Fucking screwed then.
With
I was an Xbox boy.
Discussions. It's fairly specific, not fully specific. You might be right, you might not. Con won last month's episode, very close. Horry got the Pokemon question that he thought overruled everything.
I got the most important question right. So.
I absolutely stomped Horry. He's an old man. His time has passed.
So as usual, I'll read the question. I'll give you 10 to 15 seconds to jot down an answer. You reveal it one by one, and then I will tell you who's right. We've got 5 questions this time, not 10 due to the length. And are you both ready?
Yes, sir.
Right, question 1 of the PlayStation General Knowledge Cutscene Quiz. PS2 is the highest selling console of all time, but what year did it come out? What year did the PS2 come out? I couldn't tell you when I got mine. What console though?
I only had the Slim, and that was a bought off my dad's boss when he was getting rid of it. And my dad accidentally gave me GTA San Andreas as like a 11-year-old.
Accidentally?
No, he genuinely didn't have a clue. He hadn't got a clue about gaming. He was just like, oh, there was this box of games with it as well. There you go. And I hid it from the rest of them just in case my older brother saw it and was like, you shouldn't have that.
I'm trying to guess because my cousin had one.
I'm going to give you 5 more seconds.
I know what my guess is. I'm not confident with it, though. I think I'm a year off.
And based off that, I'm going to ask Corey first because he seems to be deliberating a little bit more.
2005.
2005 and Con?
2001.
Oh, shit. Have I gone too high?
Do I give it to the person who's closest?
Can I say what I actually think it is?
Time.
Yeah, I didn't last time, did I?
Can I say what I think it was and why I chickened out?
Go on.
I think it's 2002, and I chickened out to 2001 because last time the Xbox 360, which competed with the PS3, was 2006. And I was like, about 5 years at that time might be the right gap. So that's why I went 2001, but I actually think it is 2002.
I nearly went 2003, and I'm probably going to regret it.
Con, you was right changing a year, but you went the wrong direction. It actually came out 2000. 2000. Yep.
God, I was young.
Yeah, because Horry, I think like the 360 and PS5 came out in like 2006. I want to say.
Yeah, it was too close.
Like, I'm trying to think.
I was thinking 2003.
Generations were quicker and closer, but they weren't that close.
It's too fucking long ago.
2024.
I just remember playing Crash Bandicoot 2 not Crash Bandicoot 2, Crash Bandicoot on my cousin's PS2.
So many good PS2
what
games.
A console, man.
Well, we're not doing closest, so neither of you get one. Good start.
But right, I was closer. 2. So
you was
in a tiebreaker.
For the record, you.
There is no tiebreaker.
Right, question 2. What is the name of Final Fantasy VII's main protagonist?
Oh, fuck. I've never played Final Fantasy.
I feel like this is one...
I have a guess.
Because I've never played it.
I also have a guess.
I've never played it, but I knew who it was.
Okay,
I feel like it's quite a big...
I feel like I know who it is,
pop
then.
culture-y.
Okay, cool. I'm confident with my answer now.
I mean, I'm pretty confident with mine.
I'm going to say it with chest.
Okay, both of you say it at the same time? 3, 2, 1.
Cloud.
Right, you both get a point.
Let's fucking go.
So, what was your method to try, or did you just have a rough idea?
Honest to God, and this is going to show off my ADHD brain so badly. I was like, I know he's in Soul Calibur, and he has a name similar to Ray McLeod, the 49ers wide receiver. It's like, McLeod. I was like, no, it can't
What
be
kind
McLeod.
of logic is that?
And I'm like, it's Cloud. It's my brain. It's fucked up in here.
So I
got there.
I knew Cloud was a main for one of them, but I wasn't sure if it was for Final Fantasy. I couldn't remember if it was an earlier or a later one.
I picked 7 because it's like the most iconic one, the best reviewed one, etc. So yeah, you both get a point. Deadlock at the minute. Going on to technically my favorite game of all time with question 3. Who is the father of God of War's Kratos? Who is Kratos' dad? I'm thinking of obviously mythology.
Yeah, that's where my brain's trying to go.
Yeah,
but...
there's quite a few people you could probably pick from. Can you narrow it down? Con, I know you've got a PlayStation. Have you played God of War 2018 or Ragnarok?
No.
You are missing out. I
bought it for Spider-Man, and I've played it for Spider-Man, and now Quidditch World Cup. That's
so
literally
Ragnarok is you probably know, is my favorite game of all time. I knew
and
this
is it
answer
revealed in that
heartbeat.
who his dad is?
No, I'm pretty sure it's revealed in 2018. I want to say.
Okay.
But yeah, who is Kratos' dad? You got 5 seconds.
This got to be a punt in the dark. Oh wait, fuck. What's his name?
5.
I have a guess.
3, 2, 1. Con, you're up and Aaron. You can go first.
If I say like their role, will you give me a bit of leeway?
No.
Because I can't remember the exact name, but I think it's the Titan grandfather, like Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades' dad. I think he's also like Kratos' dad, and then that's why Kratos goes and kills them. His name is? I'm just gonna go Zeus because I can't remember his name, so I won't get given the point. And Zeus fucks everything, but I'm not confident about any of them.
Atlas.
Oh, Atlas is a great shout.
I don't think I'm right.
Don't tell me I was right with my thought process and just couldn't remember the name.
Zeus's father is called Cronus.
Oh, fuck it! His dad isn't Cronus, is it?
His dad is Zeus. Con, you somehow managed to swindle your way to that one.
Shit.
Kratos.
See, I didn't think it was like that tier of like
Go
Zeus
on,
and
Zeus,
stuff.
you horn dog. Get cooked, Tori.
Oh.
Yeah, his dad is indeed Zeus.
I thought that was
tough.
too obvious. Of like an answer to pick. I was like, it won't be Zeus. That's
Cope.
I love that Con was like, yeah, I think it's Zeus's dad, but I can't remember his name, so I'm just going to pick Zeus. So jammy. Right, question 4, 2-1 to Con. I feel like if you're not PlayStation people, you might struggle with this one, but I throw it in there anyway because it's
fun.
Yay.
What species is Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank?
Oh, I think I know.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say it with chest, but I think I know.
So
can we get more time pressure put on Hori here? So
there is, based on what Hori's been saying and his lack of PlayStation knowledge, he's not gonna get this one. But I'll give you 5 or so seconds. Con seems confident, so we'll let Hori go first.
I'm gonna say it with chest. What are you looking at there?
Okay,
Hori? What are you looking down at?
I'm typing my answers on my phone.
Oh.
That's how I've been doing them because I've got my list from last time.
Hori, we'll let you go first.
Flying squirrel.
I mean, technically, kind of. And Con?
Could have gone with a fox.
You're both wrong.
That's fine.
I'm not shocked that I'm wrong.
So
can't lose.
I feel like this is one. If you like PlayStation, you know because it gets brought up all the time. Ratchet is a Lombax.
Oh my! I did know that. I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's like a rodenty cat / fox / I'm pretty sure. Let me get up his actual description of what he is. They are a
Lombats,
humanoid.
all I get is him.
They are a humanoid, feline, rodent-like species.
Oh wait. So it's a made-up.
Yeah, it's not an actual. I'm pretty sure it's not an actual thing.
So you've asked us what animal he is.
No, what
It was
species?
It was a
I asked
trick
you what
question.
species.
I feel like we've been led astray here, Hori.
I feel like I should have said
Anyway.
rodent. No, I
Yeah,
don't know.
can't lose.
I wouldn't have given you the answer anyway.
I know.
Right, so there's only one question left because it's a shorter quiz day. Still currently 2-1 to Con. Let us know in the comments how many you've got right so far, and after this question, how many you got right in total. But question 5: which studio developed Jak and Daxter? Which studio developed Jak and Daxter? Iconic franchise.
I know.
I've played all of them.
I know. I think
Similar to Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I think I know. I might be wrong with chess again, but I'm going to put the time pressure on Hori.
Fair play. Hori, think of.
I'm trying to think of PlayStation studios, but I'm like,
This has been another episode of Gaming Changer.
I can't even think of a PlayStation studio right now.
Yeah, they're all so mid. It's crazy.
Never made games for me, so.
The only. Oh, is that true? I mean, I think it might be, but your only clue is they're quite big. But I'll give you 5 more seconds. Con seems quite confident, and Hori will lead you off because of that.
I got it, yeah.
Hori will lead
Shot
you.
in the dark, which I'm almost certain is wrong. Naughty Dog.
I am also saying Naughty Dog.
Oh.
That is because Naughty Dog is the right answer.
3, 2,
I was like,
let's go.
What PlayStation
You
studio
saying
do I
they're
know?
quite big has led him to that answer.
Well, no, because that was like the only studio I was kind of. I'm like, well, they're PlayStation, but I didn't think they made.
I tried to go
anything other
big because then you mentioned like you haven't played their games. I was thinking, has Hori played the last? Has he played Uncharted? No, you're missing out. But yeah, Naughty Dog was the correct answer, which I believe
they are the only studio that Sony actually own.
Referee. The slander, the PlayStation slander, all the PlayStation fanboys are going to be at you in the comments. But yeah, today's quiz, I believe it wasn't a very high score. I know it's only 5 questions.
I got
but
2.
I believe
3-2.
3-2 to Con, which puts him.
That's my
2-0
7
overall.
2-time? Oh, actually, no, I don't want to be 2-time. Can we do another one? So can we 3-time real quick?
Cancel Con and night.
Can we get fuck the 2-time in the comments?
Referee. But that's this month's quiz. Next month, I don't know how big the gaming news will be, so we might go back to a 10-question format. Might give Hori a better chance. It will
make
be
them all obscure Steam games or something.
It will
Make
it
all
will
games in the
probably
80s.
all
MOBAs
MOBAs
around for them.
Unless there's like Xbox specific news, it'll probably be general knowledge next month. So it might give you a better chance because Con's currently 2-0, walking away with it. Obviously, we said by the end of
Pokemon questions.
By the end of season 2 of Cutscene, we're gonna figure out who is. We're gonna reset it every.
I'm fine
every 100
with
episodes.
already admitting that I probably will lose this overall.
The problem is, Hori's the kind of neurospicy where he forgets everything. I'm the kind of neurospicy where I remember everything useless, and it comes up great at times like this.
I remember just enough to know what you're talking about, but none of the details. So like you say, what species is Ratchet from Ratchet Clank about? Oh, I know that game. Don't know anything else about the game.
That wasn't just a dude named Ratchet.
That wasn't a fox called. That wasn't a fox called Ratchet. But no, well done, Con. You get today's gold medal.
Thank you as always, Josh, and we'll see you next time, buddy.
Likewise, catch you next month.
Oh, right. I'm going to go full PP. Thank you very much, Josh. Let's get into some nerdy news.
Yes.
As the champion, I will kick us off with this interesting bit of news. Todd Stashwick is joining the cast of the Vision series, according to the Hollywood Reporter. Apparently, he's going to be playing some kind of assassin that is hunting down Vision. It's interesting that this Vision project that for a long time seemed to be like almost a ghost story.
Yeah.
Is seemingly like
gathering momentum.
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe that's just the MCU was moving so fast 4 or 5 years ago that when a bit of news broke, it felt like you got a payoff for that 6-7 months later. So maybe that's all it is.
I think it possibly is also a bit of like, we know they've gone through a bit of a restructure and a redirect.
Yeah.
It could have been that Vision for a while was concept and everything was there, but it was kind of just on the board of like, we don't know where to slot this in. So it's kind of just existing in purgatory. And then they've done this whole replan, changed how many projects they want to do. They've got Spotlight and different things, and like, oh, let's pull Vision in. We've got an idea of how we can use that now.
I also wonder if, as we know, the Agatha All Along starts next week. I wonder if they've seen what that looks like on the back end, and they've gone, "That's really good. We need to get moving on this Vision one so that people don't wait 4 years before they get the next installment from this storyline."
It could also be a part of like they've looked back and gone, "Oh, we left that thread very open."
Yeah,
we know people have been asking for the here and there, keep asking answers about what happened to the Vision that flew away.
There's also a number of rumors that Armor Wars, although it's still operating under the Armor Wars title, is actually a West Coast Avengers project now. Which White Vision would make sense for, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that kind of leans. I don't know if that caused the West Coast Avengers idea, or if people like, I'm hearing rumblings of West Coast Avengers, and then the Vision show popped back up on everyone's radar, and they're like, that would explain why we're not hearing a lot about what's going on at Armor Wars. Everyone's very hush hush. Things. Sometimes you look at something and you go, that's a 2, that equals 4, but you don't see the hidden 3 type beat. You can that would look great on a t-shirt. I'm just gonna say, yeah. Barry Keoghan keeps his future as the Joker very mysterious when asked about it by Variety, saying just, "We'll see where that goes."
Which we have it further down at the bottom because it was more recent, but kind of plays into Matt Reeves has confirmed the Batman universe is still getting a trilogy, is still moving forward as his plan envisioned.
Yeah, and that was reported by Collider. And I'm curious. You know me, when an actor does a job well, I want to see them rewarded for that later down the line.
Yes.
I don't want to see the Joker again for a little while.
You got to think, how long are we going? We're still going to be waiting a while for the Batman 2. We know and we said it at I think in our, like, after reviewing the Batman, we said, and there was the tease of Joker. We were like, that feels like something that has to be paid off earliest the second, if not the third film. So it could still be a while off till we even get to that point, because I do think it's something that comes in the third one. We know there's going to be another TV show between 2 and 3.
Do you know what it is, rightly or wrongly? The Joker's become such a popular character in its own right, it's diminishing Batman's other villains, and Batman has one of the best rogues galleries. So what we're getting instead is, when Batman projects largely have been underwhelming, I'm just sat here going, there are so many good villains, but because you fuckers can't keep anything going long enough, we're just getting to see him fight the Joker again and again and again and again. And guess what? I'm bored of it. Especially when you consider like a lot of the Batman media we've had has been like the cartoons where Joker's always a big part, and the Arkham games where Joker was the big part of all 3 of them. And it's just like, give me Mr. Freeze. Give me anything.
I wonder if
it's a bit different.
It's gonna kind of come down to what James Gunn's plan is, because maybe he is like, oh yeah, I don't plan to use the Joker for a bit. I'm going these more fantastical, like we want him to do. So then Matt Reeves is like, okay, I can play that into my third film then.
I do agree with you, but at the same time, that's actually where I want to see the Joker next. Not in the DCU Batman's debut, But the next Joker I want to see is a fantastical one that matches up more with a bright, colourful universe. Because guess what? We've not had that really since Jack Nicholson in the 80s.
Yeah.
And even then, that was still a little bit like a dark twist on a bright character.
What if it's the Batman trilogy ends with like that Barry Keoghan's Joker like escapes and that's just where the film ends? Leaves it very open.
What? That I'm completely okay with, conceptually. Apart from the fact that you then get people for the next 10 years complaining about it never being paid off. But I'm a big fan of open-ended cliffhangers where the director's whole point is you get to decide what happens after that.
Well, here's the thing, is also then it's like maybe the Batman just becomes more these odd TV series in that world. Who knows?
But this is what I've said to you before. Batman and Spider-Man are literally perfect for a TV show,
yeah.
but the characters are just so big they're never going to do it.
Yeah.
Curses. Peacemaker Season 2 is coming out in the second half of 2025, apparently. Continuing the trend of shows taking far too long for another season to be made. I'm excited. I didn't get to finish Peacemaker Season 1 because shit kicked off and it's very difficult to watch easily in the UK.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to try and find a way to go back and watch it.
I also need to do. I haven't watched any of it, so I need to go back.
And we've just got hope by then, because of all the other DC stuff coming, that there is an easier way to watch Season 2.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're just stuck, isn't it?
We are, unfortunately.
Like, I understand there are parts of the world that have it even harder to watch content. I do. We are like in a country that gets basically everything. It's insane to me that we can't get access to this stuff super easily.
Yeah,
and like without piracy.
But it's also, it just baffles me that DC has this grand plan, and it's like, cool, you've got this plan for all these films. You wanna, like, the DCU wants to rival the MCU. That's James Gunn. That is their goal. If you're not having a way for these TV shows to get outside the US easily, you're never going to compete.
Do you know what the most insane thing is? The majority of the DCU is being filmed in Leavesden.
Yeah.
At the Leavesden Studios, which is 25 minutes away from my front door.
They have to be coming up with something.
Like, there's got to be a plan. Denis Villeneuve has confirmed that the June 3 script is underway in a report from Variety. I need it.
I really need to find just a weekend where I can just sit and watch the Dune films.
They are so good. I don't know what the TV situation is at your gaff. If the downstairs TV is like a really nice 4K one, no. it's worth the bargaining of, can I have the big TV? Purely because, you know me, like, I'm one of them people who's like, watch a film any way you can because films are great.
Yeah.
That is one of the few films where I'm a little bit like, you should do whatever you can to view it the best way possible.
Yeah, no, I do. I think that's partly why I've not got around to watching it.
Like, don't get me wrong, the film is strong. It will look great anyway. But I'm just kind of like, break into your local IMAX and watch it there.
Just taking a pen drive. I need to watch this, please, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, take this clip, take it to your local IMAX and say, the man from the internet says you have to let me watch Dune 1 and 2 on the big screen.
And don't worry, if you haven't got it, I will acquire it. Just don't ask me questions.
Yeah, just don't ask questions. Ask no questions here, no lies type beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. Do you know what I am? Like, since we've moved out, I'm trying to be... I don't want to say more of an adult, because I'm not being that much more of an adult. I'm trying to broaden my ways of enjoying things. That's what I'm going to say. So I've recently picked up a fantasy book from an independent author that I'm hoping to get around to reading, because I've been interested in these books for like probably 2 years.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? Birthday's coming up. It's like a £10 present for someone to get, which is right in that sweet spot to ask people. And then hopefully that'll get me back into reading.
Yeah.
And as part of that, I'm like, I want to read the Lord of the Rings books. I want to do like my nerd homework. Are you in the process of rereading it?
So this came from Monday. Space Marines 2 came out. There was no preload for that game.
Oh, so you were sat there watching it download, and you were like, I need
5
to
p.m.
stop.
I was like, boom, download. The download was like 4 hours because my internet's not great. And I like did a scroll of TikTok for about an hour and a half, and I'm like, I'm getting bored. Like I've scrolled through TikTok now.
I've completed TikTok. The brain rot is complete.
And I was just like, I didn't want to do anything on PC because I don't want to risk slowing it down. And it was kind of, with watching Rings of Power, I'm like, I need to fit. I've never fully finished the trilogy reading it. So I was like, it's been in the back of my mind of like, I want to get and read through the full trilogy. So I thought, fuck it. I just grabbed the book and I started reading.
So here's the thing that annoys me, right? You know what my brain is like? I'm so good at remembering stuff that I've consumed once when it comes to content. So I know if I sit down and I read the Lord of the Rings books, I'll never need to read them again because I will remember everything important. That's the beauty of my brain. It's a gift and a curse. If only I could have done that for studying. And on the same flip side, I'm like, I know the Dune books get a bit weird. I want to read the original ones that the trilogy of films is based off.
Yeah.
Because I love my comic books, and like people might look down on comic books, but it's the exact same concept. It's reading stuff you're interested in. And I'm trying to get back more into music, and every time where I'd normally do stuff in silence, I'm like, fuck it, music's going on. Let me listen to something new. And so like I want to get back into books. So I need something to kick me up the arse, and I'm hoping this book that I've got is going to do it. The Emmys are really weird because the Emmys haven't happened yet, but some awards have been given out, and basically I think they decide on, and I hate doing it this way, I'm just doing it as a way to kind of explain it. The second tier awards get given out not at a ceremony.
Yeah, I get what you
And then
mean.
like the major ones get like the main actor, the best series and stuff get given out at a ceremony.
The headline awards get given out,
which is scumbaggery. I want a 12-hour award show where everyone given an award gets to celebrate it properly because they all deserve it, because these shows are not just the actors and directors and the writer, it is the prop masters and the set designers and all them brilliant people. But we do have some awards from this year's Emmys that have already been given out, so we're just going to talk about the amount that have been given out.
Okay.
So The Bear has already won 7 Emmys.
Great.
Some of them included guest actor, so Jamie Lee Curtis and I almost said Frank Castle, John Berthnell. And then I think best episode as well for Fishes, I think won it. Or it might have been Forks, I can't remember which one. And the show Shogun on Disney Plus, which is on my watch list, has already won 14 Emmys, which is already a record for the most Emmys won for a single season of television.
Damn.
And it's still expected to clean up the rest it's nominated for in like the main show. It was nominated for I think 21, and it's won 14 already. We could be looking at like maybe a clean sweep.
Damn. Definitely
which is insanity.
To watching that then.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. I've heard great things. I've heard it's amazing. It's just finding time. This is one of the most heartbreaking bits of news I've actually had to deliver on this. I saw it at about midnight, whichever night it was, and I genuinely cried. James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader and Mufasa, as well as a bunch of other roles. He gave Denzel Washington his start. Denzel Washington has said that James Earl Jones was an inspiration to him. And when you look at that kind of inspirational lineage, James Earl Jones inspired Denzel Washington, who's inspired an entire generation of black actors. Like, very important actor, both as nerds and the stuff we love, but also just in representation and giving people a chance. Sadly passed away at the age of 93.
Yeah.
It's just, it sucks so fucking much.
It does. I mean, it's a great age, and obviously, unfortunately, these idols and like actors of his age, there is going to come a time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it does. When it's a lot of your childhood, it's
Yeah.
suddenly that realization of, damn, like we are now starting to hit that point where a lot of those older actors and actresses are of what we remember are reaching that age, unfortunately.
What I will say is the only nice thing that ever comes out of something like this is all of the great stories you get to hear.
Oh yeah,
So
I saw, which this is a side thing which I wish Disney and animation did this more. There's a blooper reel of him figuring out how to do Mufasa's roar,
oh really?
and they've animated it
Brilliant.
because he's like doing. He's like, "Oh, just keep rolling.
Like
It's
the old
fine."
Toy Story blooper reel.
Yeah, it's like just keep, and they've animated it, and it's so good. And like obviously, side thing, I wish they would do that more. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's moments like that appear when
Well,
stuff
a
like this
really funny
happens.
one for me is like one of my favourite James Earl Jones roles, like outside of his iconic ones. He did a cameo in Big Bang Theory,
Oh, he did, didn't he?
where he played himself.
Yeah.
And Sheldon meets him, and he does this like really intense, like, "Are you a massive Star Wars nerd?" Like, he's like, "You know, I've done other stuff, right?" He's like, "Do you want to know a secret? I love Star Wars too." And I always love when people get to just be funny in themselves.
Yeah.
What I didn't know, so in that episode, they go and play Ding Dong Ditch on Carrie Fisher's front door,
Yeah.
and she comes out, which is also brilliant. What I didn't know is that was the first time them two had ever met filming that.
Oh yeah, because he would have just done the voice.
Just in
He
voice
was
acting and
only
stuff.
in a
They'd
sound
never
booth.
met other
Yeah.
than that. That was the first time James Earl Jones had ever met Carrie Fisher for a big Bang Theory
Episode.
joke.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. But really, really sad news. But like I said, the only good that comes out of it is A, he will not be forgotten.
No.
And B, he did have a really good life. 93 is a phenomenal age to reach. And he will quite literally live on forever with two of the biggest roles
Yeah.
of all time in Darth Vader and Mufasa. Like pure insanity. Moving on. Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed the Shang-Chi film, is reportedly directing Spider-Man 4, according to a report from The Hollywood Reporter. This goes alongside with rumours I've seen from semi-reliable sources, but I'm seeing it a lot, that apparently this is going to be more ground level than previous rumours would have us believe.
Okay.
But with maybe a slightly multiversal element. People are copiumly taking this to mean it's a street level story that culminates in like the way Ant-Man and the Wasp did, going into Doomsday, Secret Wars, whatever.
Got you.
Forgetting all of that right now because the story actually doesn't matter for what I'm about to say. Oh fuck yes. Give me that action style from Shang-Chi for a Spider-Man film.
Well, here's the thing. We both love Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Especially, we loved the choreography of all the fights because they spent the time with the stunt coordinator. Like that was a big focus to get that right. So the thought of having that put into a Spider-Man film, to have some really well choreographed Spider-Man fights.
Yeah, so here's the beauty of it. On the choreography side, you've got hard-working people trying to make the fight scenes in Shang-Chi flow beautifully. Then you've got the director's the only person I think to credit here. The beautiful camera work that really gives you the full feeling of the fight scene, like the bus scene.
Yes.
Brilliant. That is brilliant. Love that. Give it to me with Spider-Man. Brilliant. Love that. But then on top of that, you're going to have a bigger budget on a Spider-Man film. You're going to have Tom Holland, and I'm not saying anything bad about Simu Lee, but we know Tom Holland is a natural fucking athlete.
Well, yeah, he did gymnastics.
That dude is going to eat through choreography.
Yep.
So excited to see what they cook up for that. It's going to be so much fun. If it is a more street level story, which suits this direction partnership even better, I'm so here for it. This is the first bit of news regarding Spider-Man 4 that's concrete. That I'm like, okay, I'm starting to build a vision in my head. Please don't disappoint it.
Yeah, mood. Hopefully, it lives up to our expectations.
Absolutely.
I mean, closer to, what is it, Way of the Spider?
Yeah. I was literally in my head. I was like, are we going to get like a cinematic version of Way of the Spider?
We just need Shang-Chi 2, and then we just need the director to bring them together.
Yeah. Josh Brolin has passed on the role of Hal Jordan, according to the Hollywood Reporter. I mean, I don't want to say that I told Josh Brolin to skip it and then he skipped it, making me a very influential person in Hollywood decisions. But I think this is for the best. I don't think it's the best role for Brolin. I don't think it's the best direction for the DCU.
No, I mean,
I'm not upset.
It's the right direction for those three that we had rumored.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it still has the issue of they're all kind of too old for what we want.
Yeah.
But like you say, from our perspective as a fans, it wasn't necessarily the best fit for him. So
yeah. And maybe him passing on it has actually made them look at people's reaction to that news and go, okay, maybe we're looking in the wrong direction.
Possibly.
At the end of the day, a casting decision is never going to make or break anything for me.
No.
But it will temper my expectations slightly.
Yeah.
The CEOs of Warner Brothers Discovery and I think it's just Paramount, that's the parent company, David Zaslav and George Cheeks, respectively, have rumoredly been discussing the idea of bundling Max and Paramount Plus. So, I believe Paramount Plus is available in the UK.
Oh yeah, you can get Paramount Plus. You can even get it as a add-on to Amazon Prime.
So, do we think this might bring Max to the UK? Now, there are things to consider here. Yep. It could just be a straight-up partnership for let's spend a little bit less money each marketing, and we'll get hopefully a few more subscriptions each. Which will make our numbers look good to our shareholders, even if the money isn't better, because we'll have a high number of subscribers, which will make them happier. Or it could also be more of a better kind of deal where they use each other's systems and structure to make themselves a little bit bigger, which might give us access to Max in the UK by them going, oh, you have the resources to serve the UK. As part of this partnership, do you want to take over controlling what we do in the we will basically like rent our rights to you in the UK?
I think maybe sort of like that. I think it could be similar to a bit like how Disney and Hulu have done it, where it's Disney Plus has now got Hulu shows on it.
Yeah.
It could be a case of we know Max hasn't had the best reception.
There is one way to do it.
Do they just use Paramount Plus, which has, it's not the biggest streaming service, but it has some pretty solid shows that fans do love, like Yellowstone for one off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Do they just merge it and it's like Max shows, HBO Max shows get put onto Paramount Plus as well?
Yeah. But there is a chance that if this happens, it gives us a way to watch it in the UK.
And I'm for it. Give it like, I know it's another streaming service we'd have to get, but if it means like at least it's a way for us to, especially if this DCU ramps up and we start having like as many shows as we do with like Disney Plus and stuff.
Give people the choice at least, and then if everyone's like, no, I still don't want that, then if they decide to pull out of the market, we can go, right, well, okay, fair enough, actually, there wasn't enough people who wanted it.
Yeah.
We got a new Venom trailer. We got the final Venom trailer.
We did. I briefly watched it.
So we got kind of what logically I hoped and everyone thought was happening with this trilogy. in the fact it's all culminated in Null, the symbiote god,
Right.
which is the dude who's in like the creepy chair.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I've enjoyed the first two Venom films. I think overall I will enjoy this film. I've seen some people making jokes, and I get where they're coming from. I wouldn't be 100% shocked if we don't get Null in the film properly, and not that Null scene we get is actually the post-credit scene, and then they try and do a Sony-verse Madam Web, Venom, Morbius team-up film where they try and defend the world from Null.
I can see
And
what people mean.
I don't think that's like so insanely ridiculous.
No.
And that's my concern. That should be laughable.
I
Because
could
Null
see
is like a cosmic level villain who should be treated with the utmost respect.
Yeah. It's that the fact that is such a it's such a wild idea to think about, but it's also so believable because that's another film that means they keep hold of the rights. They can extend this longer. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, the story getting to this point is kind of where it made sense to go, considering they don't have a Spider-Man to deal with.
With no Spider-Man, the only other real story that warrants a trilogy is building towards a Null.
Yeah. And yeah, don't worry. Out of all of the Sony films, the Venom ones have been the only ones I've been to see and enjoy. Obviously, ignoring the old Spider-Man ones, but yeah. So I think I'm sure it'll be enjoyable in the sense that the Venom films have been enjoyable. What the story is and what it could potentially lead to will be questionable.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously,
we're getting the payoff of the previous police officer Patrick Mulligan from the previous films. We're getting the payoff of Toxin, which is the symbiote he comes from.
Right. Okay.
And I can't remember exactly, but I feel like Toxin somehow leads into anti-venom.
Okay.
Let me just double check this though, because
what if we just get like a Venom team up film somehow?
Why is it so difficult to remember who comes from where? I can't remember. I've got a feeling anti-venom comes from Toxin a little bit. I can't remember exactly how it works though, and I think there might be different universes where it works slightly differently. But Toxin's going to be pretty cool because I'm pretty sure Toxin, although he's got like quite an aggressive name, I think Toxin is a good symbiote.
Okay.
Not even like anti-hero. I think like genuinely good.
Okay.
I might be wrong on that though, because I'm pretty sure he uses Spider-Man's color scheme of like red and blue.
Interesting.
But it'll be interesting nonetheless. I will go watch it. Matt Hardy's done a great job in all the films.
Matt Hardy?
I think it'll be fun. Tom Hardy. I think it'll be fun no matter what.
Yeah.
It just depends on if they try and convince us that they're going to do a big team up film, and that might be where I just have to check out a little bit.
Just end credit scene is the meeting up with Craven and being like, "We've got this really big creature for you to hunt."
Don't, please, no, I can't. But that's coming out on October 25th, so just a little over a month away.
Yeah,
nope. Too long. But that is it from us this time. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Comment down below, Connor beat Horry again. How embarrassing for Horry. And I will like that comment personally.
And comment PC Master Race, and I'll like that one.
But thank you very much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.
I'll see you next week.